Once upon a time, in a small town nestled among rolling hills, there lived a mysterious man known only as the Man with No Name. Nobody knew where he came from or what his story was. He was a stranger to everyone, yet he seemed to know everyone's secrets. The townsfolk whispered about him, speculating about his past and wondering why he chose to live in their town. Some said he was a wandering traveler, while others believed he was a fugitive hiding from the law. Despite the rumors and suspicions, the Man with No Name kept to himself, rarely speaking to anyone and always keeping his distance. He would often be seen walking alone through the streets, his dark cloak billowing behind him. Despite his mysterious aura, there was something about the Man with No Name that intrigued the townsfolk. They couldn't help but be drawn to him, even as they kept their distance. One day, a young boy named Tommy decided to approach the Man with No Name and strike up a conversation. He was curious about the enigmatic stranger and wanted to learn more about him. "Hello, sir," Tommy said timidly, approaching the Man with No Name as he sat on a bench in the town square. "My name's Tommy. What's yours?" The Man with No Name looked up, his piercing gaze meeting Tommy's. "I have no name," he replied in a voice as deep as the ocean. "I am simply a wanderer, passing through this town on my journey through life." Tommy was taken aback by the Man with No Name's response but pressed on with his questions. He asked about where he came from and where he was going, but the Man with No Name remained cryptic in his answers. As the days passed, Tommy continued to seek out the Man with No Name, eager to unravel the mystery surrounding him. He would often find him sitting alone in the town square, lost in thought. Despite his best efforts, Tommy could never quite get the Man with No Name to open up about his past or his reasons for being in the town. He remained an enigma, a puzzle that nobody could solve. As time went on, the Man with No Name became a fixture in the town, a silent observer of the comings and goings of the townsfolk. Some began to see him as a guardian angel, watching over them from afar. Others, however, remained suspicious of the Man with No Name, wary of his presence and the secrets he seemed to hold. They would whisper amongst themselves, casting suspicious glances in his direction whenever he passed by. Despite the rumors and suspicions, the Man with No Name never wavered in his stoic demeanor. He continued to wander the streets of the town, a silent sentinel in a world of noise and chaos. And so, the mystery of the Man with No Name remained unsolved, his true identity and purpose known only to him. He would forever remain a shadowy figure, a silent observer in the tapestry of life in the small town nestled among rolling hills. Years passed, and the townsfolk grew accustomed to the presence of the Man with No Name. Although he remained a mystery, he became a familiar sight in the town, his silent presence weaving into the fabric of everyday life. Despite his aloofness, there were moments when the Man with No Name would unexpectedly show kindness to those in need. He would quietly offer assistance to the elderly, help carry groceries for the townsfolk, or provide comforting words to those going through hard times. These acts of kindness sparked curiosity among the townsfolk, leading some to question whether the Man with No Name was truly as mysterious as they had believed. Perhaps, they thought, there was more to him than met the eye. One particularly cold winter's day, a fierce blizzard swept through the town, blanketing the streets in a thick layer of snow. The townsfolk huddled indoors, seeking shelter from the biting wind and freezing temperatures. As the storm raged on, a young girl named Emily found herself stranded outside, her small frame shivering in the cold. Lost and alone, she stumbled through the snow-covered streets, searching desperately for help. Just when it seemed all hope was lost, the man with no name appeared out of nowhere, his dark cloak billowing behind him like wings. Without a word, he scooped Emily up into his arms and carried her to safety. The townsfolk watched in awe as the man with no name brought Emily to the warmth of his humble abode. He lit a fire in the fireplace, wrapped her in blankets, and made her a cup of hot cocoa to warm her chilled bones. As Emily huddled by the fire, safe and sound, the man with no name sat beside her, silently keeping watch over her until the storm had passed. When the blizzard finally subsided, he escorted her back home, ensuring she arrived safely to her family. From that day forward, the townsfolk looked upon the man with no name with newfound respect and gratitude. Although he remained a mystery, his actions spoke volumes about the kind and compassionate soul that lay beneath his stoic exterior. As the years went by, the man with no name continued to wander the streets of the small town, his silent presence a reminder of the power of kindness and compassion. And although his true identity remained a mystery, his legacy lived on in the hearts of those whose lives he had touched. Despite the passage of time, the mystery surrounding the man with no name persisted. Some speculated that he was a fallen angel, sent to watch over the town and protect its inhabitants. Others believed he was a lost soul, searching for redemption in a world that had forgotten him. Regardless of the rumors and speculation, the man with no name remained an enigma, his true nature known only to himself. He continued to wander the streets of the small town, his silent presence a constant reminder of the mysteries of life. As the years turned into decades, the town itself began to change. New faces appeared, old buildings were torn down and replaced with modern structures, and the once familiar streets took on a different look. Through it all, the man with no name remained a steadfast presence, a silent observer of the passage of time. He watched as the town grew and evolved, witnessing both its triumphs and its tragedies. Despite his mysterious nature, the man with no name became a source of comfort and reassurance for the townsfolk. They looked to him in times of need, finding solace in his silent presence and the sense of peace he brought with him wherever he went. And so, the legend of the man with no name lived on, passed down from generation to generation as a reminder of the power of compassion, kindness, and the enduring mysteries of life. Though his true identity may never be known, his legacy would live on in the hearts and minds of all who had been touched by his presence. As time passed, the small town continued to thrive, and the legend of the man with no name remained a topic of fascination among its residents. Despite the ever-changing landscape and the influx of new faces, the man with no name remained a constant, a mysterious figure woven into the fabric of the town's history. Occasionally, travelers passing through the town would catch a glimpse of the man with no name, their curiosity piqued by the tales they had heard. Some would attempt to strike up a conversation with him, hoping to uncover the secrets behind his enigmatic presence, but the man with no name would simply nod in acknowledgement before disappearing into the shadows once more. Over time, the rumors and speculation surrounding the man with no name only grew, with some claiming he possessed supernatural abilities and others suggesting he was a guardian angel sent to watch over the town. Yet, despite the myriad theories, one thing remained certain. The man with no name was a mystery that would likely never be fully unraveled. As the years went by, the small town continued to change and evolve, but the man with no name remained a constant, a silent sentinel standing watch over the passage of time. And though his true identity may have remained shrouded in mystery, his presence served as a reminder of the enduring spirit of the town and the resilience of its people. And so, the legend of the man with no name lived on, a timeless tale of mystery and intrigue that would be passed down through the generations. For as long as the small town existed, so too would the enigmatic presence of the man with no name, forever a part of its rich tapestry of history. Years turned into decades, and the small town where the man with no name dwelled continued to flourish. Yet, as time passed, the legend of the mysterious figure began to fade from memory. New generations grew up hearing whispered tales of the man with no name, but for many, he became little more than a distant myth. The once bustling streets of the town became quieter, as the younger residents moved away in search of new opportunities. The buildings that had once stood tall and proud began to show signs of age, their facades weathered by time and neglect. Despite the changes that swept through the town, the man with no name remained a solitary figure, his presence unchanged by the passage of time. He continued to wander the streets, his dark cloak billowing behind him, a silent observer of the town's gradual transformation. Yet, even as the town changed around him, the man with no name remained a source of comfort and reassurance for those who still remembered him. His silent presence served as a reminder of the town's storied past, a link to a time when legends and mysteries abounded. As the years went by, the man with no name became little more than a distant memory, a figure relegated to the realm of folklore and myth. Yet, for those who had known him, his legacy lived on, a testament to the enduring power of mystery and the indomitable spirit of the human soul. And so, the legend of the man with no name faded into obscurity, lost to the sands of time. But for those who had heard his tale, he would always be remembered as a mysterious figure who had left an indelible mark on the small town and its residents. As the legend of the man with no name faded into obscurity, life in the small town carried on, albeit with a sense of nostalgia for the days when mystery and intrigue had walked its streets. New generations grew up, unaware of the enigmatic figure who had once captured the imagination of their ancestors. Over time, the town underwent further changes, as modernization brought new technologies and ways of life. The once quaint streets were now lined with bustling shops and cafes, and the town square had been transformed into a bustling hub of activity. Despite the changes, however, there remained a sense of longing for the days when the man with no name had roamed the streets, his silent presence a reminder of the town's storied past. Old-timers would reminisce about the mysterious figure, recounting tales of chance encounters and whispered conversations. But for the younger generation, the man with no name was little more than a distant memory, a character from a bygone era. They had grown up in a world filled with technology and instant gratification, with little time for the mysteries of the past. Yet, even as the man with no name faded from memory, his legacy lived on in the hearts and minds of those who had known him. For them, he would always be a symbol of the unknown, a reminder that life was full of mysteries waiting to be discovered. And so, as the years passed and the town continued to change, the man with no name remained a legend, a ghostly figure from a time long gone. But for those who had experienced his presence, he would always be a part of the town's rich tapestry of history, a mysterious stranger whose true identity would forever remain a mystery. As the years went by, the legend of the man with no name began to fade into the background of the small town's collective memory. New stories and rumors emerged, captivating the minds of the townsfolk and overshadowing the enigmatic figure that had once intrigued them. Yet, despite the passage of time, there were those who still held onto the memory of the man with no name. Elderly residents would reminisce about encounters with the mysterious stranger, their stories passed down through the generations like cherished heirlooms. Occasionally, a traveler passing through the town would hear whispers of the man with no name and seek out information about him. But as the years went by, fewer and fewer people could provide any meaningful insight into the mystery surrounding the elusive figure. Meanwhile, life in the small town continued to evolve. New generations grew up, their lives shaped by the changing times and the modern world. The once quaint streets underwent further transformation, with new businesses and developments springing up, catering to the needs of a new era. Despite the changes, however, there remained a sense of nostalgia for the past, a longing for the days when the man with no name had wandered the streets, his silent presence a reminder of the town's rich history. And so, as the years turned into decades, the man with no name became little more than a distant memory, a mysterious figure relegated to the annals of folklore and myth. Yet, for those who had known him, he would always be a symbol of the unknown, a reminder of the mysteries that lay hidden beneath the surface of everyday life. As the years rolled on, the small town continued its gradual evolution, adapting to the changing times while still preserving its unique charm. New generations grew up, their lives intertwining with the stories and legends of the past, including the enigmatic tale of the man with no name. While the memory of the man with no name faded for many, there were still those who held onto the mystery, their curiosity sparked by the mere mention of his name. They would gather around campfires or in cozy cafes, sharing tales of encounters with the mysterious figure and speculating about his true identity and purpose. Occasionally, visitors would come to the town specifically in search of information about the man with no name. They would pore over old records and interview elderly residents, hoping to uncover clues that might shed light on the mystery surrounding the silent stranger. Meanwhile, life in the small town carried on much as it always had. The streets buzzed with activity, and the town square remained a gathering place for residents and visitors alike. Yet, there was a subtle undercurrent of intrigue, a lingering sense of curiosity about the elusive figure who had once captured the town's imagination. As the years turned into decades, the man with no name became more than just a legend. He became a symbol of the town itself, a mysterious figure woven into its very fabric. His legacy lived on in the hearts and minds of those who had been touched by his presence, serving as a reminder of the power of mystery and the enduring spirit of the human soul. And so, even as the world around it continued to change, the small town remained bound by the enigmatic tale of the man with no name, a story that would be passed down through the generations, ensuring that his memory would never truly fade away. One foggy morning, a group of children ventured into the woods on the outskirts of town, their imaginations fueled by tales of the man with no name. As they wandered deeper into the forest, they stumbled upon an old, abandoned cabin hidden among the trees. Curiosity piqued, the children approached the cabin cautiously, wondering what secrets it held. The door creaked open with a spine-chilling groan, revealing a dimly lit interior shrouded in shadows. Heart-pounding with excitement, the bravest among them stepped inside, followed closely by the others. The air was musty and thick with dust, and cobwebs hung from the rafters like eerie decorations. As they explored the cabin, the children discovered an old chest tucked away in a corner, covered in layers of dust and cobwebs. With trembling hands, they lifted the lid, revealing a treasure trove of mementos and keepsakes from days gone by. Among the dusty relics was a tattered journal, its pages yellowed with age. With bated breath, the children began to leaf through its contents, eager to uncover the secrets within. To their astonishment, they discovered that the journal belonged to none other than the man with no name himself. It chronicled his journey through life, detailing his adventures, his struggles, and the reasons why he had chosen to settle in their small town. As they read, the children were captivated by the tale of the man with no name, his words painting a vivid picture of a life filled with mystery and intrigue. They realized that he was not just a legend or a myth, but a real person with hopes, dreams, and fears just like their own. With newfound understanding and respect, the children closed the journal and carefully returned it to the chest, leaving the cabin as they had found it. As they made their way back to town, their minds buzzing with excitement, they knew that they had uncovered a piece of history that would forever change their perspective on the man with no name. And so, the legend of the man with no name lived on, not as a mysterious stranger, but as a man whose legacy would continue to inspire generations to come. His story would be passed down through the ages, a timeless tale of mystery, adventure, and the enduring power of the human spirit. In the years that followed, the small town continued to thrive, its streets filled with the hustle and bustle of daily life. Yet, amidst the noise and activity, the memory of the man with no name remained etched in the collective consciousness of its residents. The discovery of the man with no name's journal had sparked a newfound appreciation for the mysterious figure who had once walked among them. His story became a source of inspiration, reminding the townsfolk of the importance of compassion, kindness, and the enduring pursuit of truth. As generations passed, the legend of the man with no name grew larger than life, evolving into a timeless tale that captured the imagination of people far and wide. His legacy lived on in the hearts and minds of those who had been touched by his presence, serving as a beacon of hope in a world filled with uncertainty. And though the man with no name had long since vanished from the town, his spirit lingered on, a silent guardian watching over the small town and its inhabitants. His story served as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there was always a glimmer of light to guide the way. As the sun set on the horizon, casting a warm glow over the town. The residents gathered in the town square to honor the memory of the man with no name. They lit candles and shared stories of his legendary deeds, their voices rising in a chorus of remembrance. And as the stars twinkled overhead, casting their gentle light upon the town below, the residents felt a sense of peace wash over them. For though the man with no name had long since disappeared into the mists of time, his legacy would forever live on, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit and the timeless allure of mystery and intrigue.